Hi everyone, welcome to Byte and Beyond with Uday. In last video, we have implemented one-to-one relationship between employee and ID card entities. In this video, we are going to perform CRUD operation on these entities. We will use REST APIs to perform this CRUD operation. CRUD meaning create, read, update, and delete these entities. So we are going to perform this operation in this video. Along with this, we are going to learn these 4 points. The first one is why employee.setIdCard is important. We will see what is the benefit or what is the use of Cascade Persist and what happens if we remove it. So we will see that by doing a or by having a practical example. Same for the cascade remove. We will do the practical for the cascade remove as well. We will see what happens if we remove this cascade remove, right? And then we will see what happens if we add orphan removal is equal to true, and what happens if we remove this, and what is the actual use of this orphan removal. So this is the agenda of this video. So let's do one thing. Let's first prepare our REST endpoints so we can perform CRUD operation. And while performing CRUD operation, we will cover these 4 points one by one. So as you know, we are using employee DTO. So first of all, we need to make changes in the employee DTO. So what change do we need here? Uh, Along with these fields, we need to pass ID card as well. We don't have ID card DTO for the sake of the simplicity. I don't want to make this complex. Let's keep it simple. So I'm using entity directly over here. You can see this is the ID card entity which we have created earlier in last video specifically. And now we are going to make changes in our application so we can perform CRUD operation via REST APIs. So this is the agenda. So let me do one thing. ID card field is declared. Let me create getter and setters. Okay, it is there now. So that is it for the employee DTO. Now we need to make changes in the mapper. So for that, let me go to the mapper package. And over here, we have employee mapper class. So let me go over here and let me make changes in these two methods, two entity and two DTO. Okay. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to say employee dot set ID card. Okay. As you can see, we have just introduced getter and setters inside the employee DTO. So now we can say employee DTO get ID card. Okay. So these are the methods we just have declared. Okay. This code changes is we are doing it because we just want to perform CRUD operation via REST APIs. So that is why we are performing this operation. I mean, we are doing these changes. So don't worry about these changes. So over here, I am setting the ID card. I'm getting employee entity over here. I'm fetching the. This is the simple conversion. I mean, two entity meaning I'm receiving DTO and I'm creating employee entity out of the employee DTO. So you can see the input is employee DTO and the output is employee entity. So that's what I'm doing over here. And in this method, the input is employee entity and I'm returning the employee DTO. So my output is employee DTO. So this is basically conversion, employee entity to DTO and DTO to entity. That is it, nothing else. Okay, so we are done with this employee mapper as well. Now, now what we can do? Yeah, one more thing we need to do over here. We need to use at the rate JSON ignore annotation. I will explain you why I'm using this annotation. Okay, so hold on for a second. But at high level, I can explain you that why I'm adding. So let me explain. So you can see in ID card we have employee, right? So the relation, so the relation will be ID card, okay, or the pointers will be ID card employee, okay. So this is ID card and it is pointing to employee. Now if we go inside the employee, we will see employee is again pointing to ID card, okay. So just a moment. So again ID card. So if you see over here carefully, it is a chain. Now it is a chain, right? ID card points to employee, employee points to ID card. Again, ID card points to employee. Okay. So there is a infinite loop uh, between this with this declaration, right? Because inside ID card we have employee, inside employee we have ID card. You can see inside employee we have ID card. So when the JSON is created or when the JSON will create from this ID card, so there will be chain of JSON. So what will happen? Uh, let's hold on for a second. I will remove this for a moment. I will remove this other JSON ignore for a moment, and I will show you what exactly happens. Okay, so don't worry about it. I will explain exactly why I have added. But for now, you can say that there is a chain of pointers. I mean, ID card points to employee, employee points to ID card. Again, ID card points to employee. So it will be infinite loop. So to break this loop, we have at the rate JSON ignore. I will show you the practical example. So don't worry. Now that this is done, and now one more method I would like to implement, which is delete ID card. Okay, I want to delete ID card, not an employee. We already have endpoint to delete an employee. Now I want to introduce a one small line point which will help us to delete employee ID card. So let me do some changes for that. So first changes will be inside our s- employee service. Okay. I want to define one method over here, and what should be the method name? You can guess. So the method name should be void. The return type is void, and the method name should be delete employee ID card by employee ID. Okay, this looks good to me. Now, let me provide one implementation over here. So, let me implement this method inside my employee service IMPL. So, as you know, this is our implementation for employee service. This is a concrete class, employee service IMPL, which implements employee service interface so that we can verify over here. This is concrete class and this is the employee service which we are implementing inside this implementation. Okay. So let me override that method. The method name is this one. Let me say validate employee exists by ID. I want to make sure that whatever employee ID we are passing, that employee exists in our database. Otherwise, we will throw 404 employee not found exception. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, instead of calling repository, I will, I will do something different over here. I will go inside the employee entity and what I will do, I will simply say my method will be public void remove ID card. Okay. I don't want to do this many operations. I just want to say this dot ID card is equal to null. That is it. Okay. I will explain you why I have made this why I have introduced this method. Okay. Why I am not using repository to remove an ID card and why I am using this method over here. I will definitely explain to you. So don't worry about this. Okay, this looks good to me. Now only one thing is remaining. That is uh, the one change which I need to make over here. Over here, I'm going to use employee repository and then I am going to say find by ID, then employee ID, then if present, then I would say employee remove ID card. That is it. Okay, pretty simple, right? So service layer is ready to remove an ID card, to remove employee ID card to be specific. Okay, and if you want to change this method name, we can say delete ID card by employee ID. But for now, for the sake of the simplicity, for the sake of the clarity, I'm using absolute name delete employee ID card by employee ID. But yeah, we can definitely, simplify this method name. But for the sake of the simplicity, let's keep it this way. Now only one thing is remaining, which is to update our controller. So let's do that. Let me introduce an endpoint over here. Let me say employee controller. Here is the controller, and I'm going to declare uh, uh, over here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we are deleting ID card. So we will say public then response entity, HTTP status, Gen AI giving me some suggestion. I'm going to use that. But only one thing is there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use path variable instead of what I can say request param. So that is the only difference. ID, or I can, or even I can say employee ID. Okay. Let me say employee ID to be precise. Employee ID. Okay. But yeah, we already know we are going to pass employee ID only over here. So let's let's keep it simple. Let's say ID. But yeah, over here we are going to pass an employee ID. And you can see we are calling our service delete employee ID card by employee ID. So that will call our this service implementation we have just implemented. Okay. And yeah, looks like our controller is ready. Perfect. Now we are good to start the testing. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me remove all these classes and I will going to keep only this employee entity open over here. And first, what we are going to learn. So in this video, our main objective is to cover these 4 points, right? So the first one is employee set ID card. Why we need this ID card method? So if you see this ID card method, set ID card method is bit different than a typical setter method. Okay. So why I need to build this method like this? Okay. So because because I can say that this dot id card is equal to id card. Because if you see all these setter methods, let's say let's take a salary. Okay, the salary is just like this dot salary is equal to salary. So why can't we define this set id card method like this dot id card is equal to id card. So let me demonstrate why we need to write that big method. Okay, so what, first of all, before I show you the practical, let's understand what exactly it says. It says this method sets both side of the relation. I mean, inside this method we need to say employee dot id card is equal to id card. That we are already doing it. Okay, this dot id card meaning employee dot id card is equal to id card, that is here. But we also need to set employee inside this ID card object. So we need to say something like this. Okay. We need to say, we can say this dot ID card dot set employee, and I can say this. Okay. We need to declare this as well. Okay. But let's for now let's see the difference, or let's see uh, the problem with this approach. Okay, so let me start my application. It is starting up. Our application is up and running. Perfect. And if I go to my MySQL workbench and fire few select queries, you can see we don't have any data either in employee and ID card. in both table we don't have any data. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's try to uh, save a user. Okay, so you can see I am passing employee details as well as ID card details. So if we see our entity, let me open the ID card entity quickly. Okay, so you can see it requires card number, issue date, expiry date, right? Huh, sorry. So that is why I have declared this many fields over here: card number, issue date, and expiry date. So yeah, let's try to persist this object and let's see what happens when we have set ID card methods, when we have a typical set ID card methods, right? So let's see. You can see we are getting 500 internal server error. Okay. So let me see why we are getting this. See, it is saying what exactly it says. See, it is trying to first, it has tried to insert the employee. It succeeded. Then it tries to insert the ID card. But ID card, when the system tries to say insert the ID card, the employee ID column remains null. And where exactly this employee ID column is available? It is available inside this ID card table. If you can see, this is ID card table, and here is the column, and this column remain nulls. And when why this column remain null? Because setting we are not setting employee inside the ID card. Okay, what do I mean by employee? We are not setting employee inside the ID card. So I mean we are not doing this. Okay, so if I declare like this, I'm saying I have set the ID card with the inside for the employee. Now I need to set employee for the ID card. So if I click on this, I will switch back to the ID card entity. So I need to set employee inside the ID card entity as well. Why I need to do this? Because sorry, because this ID card is the owning side. Okay, owning side meaning it has the foreign key, right? So this ID card contains the foreign key. So that is why it is owning side. So this ID card contains employee ID as a foreign key that we can see inside this table. So meaning this is the owning side, and employee using mapped by. Okay, employee using mapped by, meaning this is the inverse side. So you need to remember this. Whoever is owning side, we need to set the object over there as well. I mean, ID card is the owning side, so we need to pass employee over here, because otherwise the JPA won't know that which employee this ID card belongs to which employee, and the employee, basically employee field remains null. And when the employee field remains null, we get this kind of exception. So we are getting this exception only because we are not setting. Okay, we are not setting the employee inside the ID card. We have set ID card inside the employee. Okay, So if we see, if I click on this, so I have set the ID card for the employee, but I am not setting employee for the ID card. So I need to say, I need to call ID card set employee method as well. So I need to do both things. Set ID card for employee and set employee for ID card. Okay. So now let me restart this application. Application started. We can see it is up and running. Now again, try to persist this JSON or this object. Let me refresh. So you can see we don't have any data at this moment. Now let me, and you can verify the same using this get API as well. Okay. So let me clear first of all this clear this console, and let me try to save employee with the ID card. So let's do that. Okay, you can see now it is persisted. And if you see the uh, console logs, you can see the SQL query over here. First, we are inserting the employee, then we are inserting the ID card. And if I go to the MySQL workbench and refresh it, I can see the employee, and I can see the ID card as well, right? This is for the employee ID 2. Okay. So you can see this is the employee ID 2. And I can see that using this get API as well, you can see this is the ID card. So that is why we basically requires uh, this kind of set ID card methods. Uh, we cannot rely on the typical setter method. We need to define like this. Additionally, we need to handle the null check as well, because let's say if I only declare, or if I only prepare my setter method like this, then I might get the null pointer exception when, okay, when I don't pass the ID card object. Okay, so let me update the user over here, Harry, and let me say Potter, and over here let's say Harry. Okay, now let me try to persist this. Let's see what happens. I don't think so this is going to persist. Right, and we will get the null pointer exception. Let me explain you why. Yeah, you can see we are getting the null pointer exception over here. Okay, and it is coming from the employee because this dot ID card is null. I'm saying here. So what happens? This ID card is null, and when we say this dot ID card dot set employee, we get the null pointer exception. So this is great, but we need to handle null check as well. Okay, we need to uh, prepare our method in a way that that can handle the null scenarios as well. Okay, so let me update this method that way. So for that, let me undo the changes. So you can see, um, just a moment, let me undo this as well. Okay, perfect. So you can see this is the null check. If ID card is equal to null, and if current ID card, so currently let's say you are passing null, and previously I had a ID card. In case of put, we might have this kind of scenario, right? So what I am saying over here, if ID card is null and the current ID card is not null, then first of all, remove the employee from this ID card object. So what I am doing over here, ID card dot set employee null. And then what I am doing, this dot id card is equal to null. So I am setting then id card as null, and then I am returning. And let's say id card is null, and the current id card is also null. Then we will simply set the null again and return it. Let's say now then forget about this null. Now let's say we are passing the legit value over here. I mean the proper ID card value over here. Then in this case, this is the two lines which we had earlier. So without this null check, this setter method will look like this. That is it. Nothing new over here. This particular portion to handle the null scenario. That is it. It is pretty straightforward. You will get used to it once you do the hands-on, so don't worry about it. So this if condition is for the null, this provide null safety, okay, and this is for the happy scenario when our ID card is legit, it contains the value. Then we set the ID card at both side. We set the ID card to employee, and then we set the employee to the ID card. So now I hope now why this set ID card is required, that is clear to you. So our first point is clear. Perfect. Now let's move to the persist. Okay, cascade persist. Why do we need this cascade persist? So let's understand what exactly it says, and then we move to the practical. It says, oh, sorry. It says when cascade type.persist is active on employee.idCard, meaning over here. I'm using all over here. So let me remove this and just say cascade. Okay. Okay. Ah, cascade type persist. We can declare like this as well. So what exactly it says, when cascade type of when cascade type.persist is active on employee.idCard, meaning employee entity and ID card field, saving an employee also save its new ID card. Meaning when we use this cascade persist, at that time when we save the employee, it saves the ID card as well. So that we have seen, right? We were using all cascade type, all, meaning it contains everything: persist, remove, detach, refresh. But for the simplicity, let's use the persist. So when we try to save employee, it saves the ID card as well. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me remove this. Okay. Uh, let's do one thing. Let me stop this application. Let me drop my database. First of all, let me show you the happy scenario when we have cascade type persist available. Okay. Huh. And now you can see this is the persist is available. Now let me restart my application. So now with this persist, I can save employee. I can save the ID card along with the employee. Okay. Um, so if I fire this query once again, perfect. You can see we don't have any data yet because I have dropped the database, and this is the fresh database. So let me okay. Sorry. So you can see this is the employee details. This is the employee details, and this is the ID card details. So with the persist, with this cascade persist, when I save the employee, it saves the ID card as well. So that we can verify in the console as well. So let me hit this API. You can see there are two insert statements. First one is for the employee, and second one is the ID card. So why this is happening? It is happening because we have declared cascade type persist over here. Meaning when I save employee, please save ID card detail as well. But now let's say what happens if I remove this. Let me remove. Let me drop the database once again. I'm dropping it. Drop now. Okay. Now let me restart this application. You can see we don't have the cascade type persist over here. Sorry. Now let me try to persist this object. You can see I am getting internal server error. Why? Because when when I try to save the employee, I have the ID card detail as well. Along with employee, I have ID card detail as well. So the the object which I am passing to JPA, it contains both the details, employee details and ID card details. And then uh, we are trying to store both the object. But because we do not have mentioned cascade type persist over here, our system throws an exception. What it says persistent instance reference an unsaved transient instance, which is ID card. So this is the exception is thrown by our application when we do not use when we do not use the cascade type persist. Okay, and let's say if I what happens if I do not pass this ID card details. In that case, we will be able to store the employee object because we don't have ID card details. So let me do that. You can see it is persisted, and now if I get, see, ID card is null. So if you send only employee details, it will work. But if you want to save ID card along with the employee, it is not going to work until and unless you are going to define the cascade type persist. So let me undo this and let me change this to Harry once again. Harry Potter. Okay. And Harry, let me change the ID to employee 2. Now, if I try to again store this, I will get the exception, same exception. But if I mention cascade type persist again, so I am giving indication to JPA that hey JPA, when I pass the ID card details, this ID card details along with the employee, please persist both. So that's what I am indicating over here. I am saying that persist both the entities. Okay. Along with employee persist ID card as well. So let me restart. Now it should work. Till now you can see we have only one employee. That is Emma, and it does not have the ID card. So let me clear this. Let me try to persist this Harry Potter employee. You can see it is persisted, and if I get, I will see the ID card detail as well. So that is why now it's clear. That is why we require the cascade type persist. Okay. S- Now, now these 2 points are clear. This set ID card and cascade persist. And these two remaining points, cascade remove and orphan removal true, we will cover in the next part. So if you like my video, then please share, subscribe, like, comment. See you in the next part. Bye.